Welcome back to My Conscious Dad, right here in your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Today we are talking about the relationship course, which is a 2-day seminar that my dad Alex puts on every couple of months. It depends, however many people are excited about working on themselves and their relationships. But
which doesn't seem to be very many people. It's funny because it's like and again, this is just a belief I've created, and I am conscious about it, and I hope to someday not collect enough evidence to prove that it's true. But the belief that I've created is that not enough people are courageous enough to work on themselves, or it's not exciting to look at yourself. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a willingness to really get in there and look at some of those things, to challenge yourself to get to the next level. And before we came on the show, I was thinking, when I was younger and a lot more naive and unconscious, I remember your mom asking me things like, hey, the city's putting on this course or this seminar about, husbands and wives or communication. And I remember, my early 20s, I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And so I can easily see how people, especially men, if their wives are like, hey, there's this relationship course, I'd love to take it, it sounds awesome, and I can see the husband going, no, I'm not doing that. So I get it. I get why people aren't open and willing to go to a place where you can actually learn and discover and grow on yourself. But it makes sense that there's only a small percentage of the world, probably 3 to 6% of people that are really committed to growing interpersonally, emotionally, spiritually. And it's just the numbers. It's just part of the way the world is.
Yeah, I think sometimes you have trainings and you ask me to help, and I don't necessarily want to, only because I make up stuff and excuses that, like, oh, I've done that a million times, I don't want to do it again. And just because it's not interesting, or I have something that I think is better, for that weekend. But a lot of the times too, I remember like a couple years ago, you had asked me if I wanted to do different workshops, like move on to different kinds of leadership programs, and I would say no because I was busy or whatever. But really, I was a little bit scared. I had done this level workshops a million times. So to move on to the next level with new people, where my dad wasn't the facilitator and my family wasn't going to be there to have my back, was a little bit scary. So I can see how men probably wouldn't want to admit that they don't want to do it out of fear, but not just that it's not interesting and that it's time consuming, but it's a little bit scary because you don't know what it's going to entail you to do.
That's the exciting part, though. As you're talking about it in a room full of 20 people, 18 people can see it as scary and daunting, and 2 people can see it as, oh my God, that's the most exciting part of it, is not knowing what's going to happen, not knowing what breakthroughs I could have. So it's all perspective shifting. It's all based on how you see it. And that's what I open up all my trainings with, is reminding that personal power is all about perspective shifting. And if you can figure out how to keep shifting your perspective so many times, you become a master at it. And then you start to learn how to master your life. It's weird because going into the trainings and doing that kind of work, I remember 23 years ago, when I started to learn about transformational trainings, I remember some guy told me, he said this, he said, these types of trainings really weren't for everybody. They were actually, when they first started, and this is just a theory, and I don't know if it's true or not, but now that I'm getting older and wiser, I'm starting to kind of maybe see the possibility in it. But he used to tell me, these trainings weren't created for everyone. They were actually created for a small amount of people, mostly the rich and the aware and those types of people that were getting ahead in life and that were on top of the world and doing big things and leadership development. It was only for them and their families, and they were only exposing it to them. They weren't exposing this type of work to the masses. And now I can see why. Because it seems like the masses either don't see the value in it, don't have the worthiness to say, I want that, or I deserve that, or I want to take that value and learn from it so that I can change my legacy, so I can change my family. It's just not inviting to those types of people. It's really an invitation of, if you're listening to it and you got that knee shaking, or you're nervous and you got that twirling your hair, and that part excites you, you're probably one of the ones that are ready for it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I don't know if it's because you're saying it and I have evidence to kind of back it up, so I say like, oh, that sounds right. But I think a lot of middle America, normal people, we live in the, if I had this, and this, then I'll be happy, life's complete, me and my family are going to go on vacation, we're going to have so much fun in our new car and all
this. Yeah, but this and this doesn't fall out of the sky. That's the problem.
Right, but the people who are quote unquote rich and have money and the time to spend on this stuff, it's because they have all that stuff and they realize that that's not it. That's not what's going to make them successful, happy, have great relationships. They have already attained those things. So they said, you know what, I need something else. Whereas the middle America, the masses, they said, I need this, and this. And if they ever do get to that, then they'll say, you know what, I need something more.
That's funny. Actually, as you're describing that, there's a book that I co-authored or authored probably about 8 years ago. And in one of the chapters that I wrote, I talked a little bit about my early days as I was facilitating leadership programs. And I was probably about maybe 25 years old, and I'm coaching these powerful leadership programs. And in this one program, I decided to do like some research. And I took the group of 25 that I was coaching, and I took the top 5 of them, and they were very successful financially with business. And so I took them all in a room and I said, all right, what are you guys looking for in this program? What do you really want out of life? And what they said to me, basically, the bottom line was, we want to be fulfilled. Yeah, we have a lot of money. Yeah, we have a lot of things, and we've accomplished a lot of stuff, and we go on vacations, and we can live it to the max. But at the end of the day, there's something that's missing, and it's something called fulfillment. I'm not fulfilled. I'm not really happy and joyful, and I don't feel alive, and there's no passion. There's something missing inside of me. It's that fulfillment. So then I go, okay, I got clear about that. Thank you. So then I let them go. Then I brought in the rest of the group. The rest of the 20 people came in, and I interviewed them, and I said, what are you guys looking for ultimately to accomplish in your life? And what they said was, we all want to be rich and successful like the top 5 that you just interviewed. And I said, okay, but why? Why do you want to be rich? Why do you want to be successful? Why do you want to have all those accomplishments? You know what they said to me? So that we could be fulfilled. So what was happening was, the people that didn't have the riches, the success, the fame, all that stuff, they all wanted that because they thought it brought them fulfillment. Not realizing that I just interviewed those 5 people that have the success, the riches, the fame, the goals, and all they're searching for is also fulfillment. So at the end of the day, what people are really looking for is to be fulfilled. That's really what it's about. But the masses don't understand that. They don't realize that no matter what you're chasing, at the very end, what everyone's chasing to get to the very end is ultimate fulfillment. Joy, peace, worthiness, authenticity, passion, feel alive, having purpose, all that stuff. And they don't realize that you going down that path thinking that certain things are going to bring it to you aren't. And so at the end of the day, what it really boils down to is how do I bring that fulfillment and create that from within myself? And that's what these trainings are designed to do, is to help you start that journey so you can go within yourself and discover and manifest and create your own joy and passion and aliveness and create that from within yourself. It's the shortcut to it.
Yeah, as you were explaining that, I kind of imagine people who, the 20 people in the room, the I guess normal people. I don't want to say normal people, but the majority of people, if they skip all the richest part and they go straight to the fulfillment and being, successful and loving and happy and everything, those other things will come in overflow.
But you have to trust that, and you have to believe in that. And that is a very challenging thing to do, because society and the way that we have been trained and programmed is to think that the reverse, that we have to do more, do better, do different, and then achieve and have all those things. And that by achieving and having those things, it'll bring us those feelings that we all yearn for, that fulfillment. And that's actually not the way it really goes down. And so for you to understand that, wrap your mind around it, fully embrace it, accept it, and believe it is a whole process in itself. And it could take you, years, if not maybe lifetimes.
Which is really funny, because you would think that we would all know this by now. It just in the simple fact that if you've ever seen a movie before, you would know that all the rich people, the moral of the story is always that they aren't happy just being rich. They need, something else, or they're yearning for something else. And I don't want to forget about this again. Before we went on the break, we were kind of talking about the giving from overflow in your bucket thing, and you wanted to share a story. So I thought maybe we'd go back on that before I forget.
Oh, the story was a process that I had, a pivotal moment in my life that I got into, that almost cost me my marriage, and it was very delicate, because I remember getting to a stage in my life where I realized that if I really start to put a lot of effort into loving myself enough, that hopefully I can free myself up to be a bigger contribution in my relationship with my wife. And in that course, maybe about 6 to 8 years, I really started getting to a level where I love myself so much that I realized that I don't need anything from my wife. There's nothing that she has that I don't already have within me. You following me?
Yeah.
So then I got this bright idea to tell my wife, hey, I just want to let you know that I'm in this relationship and there's nothing that I need from you anymore. Now, yeah, exactly. So when you hear that, immediately you want to squint your teeth and kind of roll your eyes like, ooh, maybe you shouldn't have said that. And I remember telling my wife that, and it took some courage for me to say that to her. And it took her a little while to wrap her mind around it. I remember in the beginning, it was like, what do you mean you don't need anything from me, right? It was kind of foreign. And it got to a point where, she started, I think, to really wrap her mind around it and do some work on herself, and, the process of loving herself. And I think she's gotten to a point now where she doesn't need me anymore. And I feel so relieved. I feel so joyful and so free that I could be freed up in a relationship where I no longer need her, and that she no longer needs me. And what it does is it frees us both up to be able to not be in a relationship, in a needy relationship. We're now freed up to give wholeheartedly to the relationship without expecting something back. So every day I get up with a mindset of, okay, what does she need from me, but what can I give her from the deepest part of my soul with no conditions? And if she can operate and wrap her mind around that and shift to that place, then we're both freed up to be able to be in this relationship, being a contribution, rather than looking at it from a perspective of, okay, what do I need and what can I take from it? We're no longer taking from the relationship, we're just putting deposits into it.
What I really love about this whole concept is I think it feels a little bit better. I feel better about myself knowing that this other person doesn't need me, but they want to be with me.
That's right.
And there's something more exciting about being wanted and knowing that this person wakes up every day choosing to be with me, instead of this person needs me to function or to live or survive or whatever it is. But it makes me feel better. It makes me, maybe it's my ego, but I don't know what word I want to use, but it's kind of an emotional feeling. So
maybe
it's pretty cool.
Maybe there's no words for it. It reminds me of a movie called White Man Can't Jump, where Woody Harrelson is interacting with, I think her name is Rosie Perez. And the Rosie Perez character says to Woody, I want you to want to get me a glass of water. And me and my wife, for years, we've always laughed at that part of the movie, because Woody looks over and goes, why in the heck would I want to get you a glass of water? And it seems like women in the relationship, they want you to want to love me. I want you to want to open the door for me. I want you to want to care for me. Even though I can't make you want it, I still want you to want it. But you wanting it, you have to get to that place where you have to free yourself up from the need of anything, to be able to want to be a contribution, to want to caress you, or to, I want to take care of you. I want to heal you. I want to, take your feet off and rub your feet if you've had a bad day. I want to be in a relationship where I'm freed up to give to you like that unconditionally. And that's a whole nother level you have to get to. You got to earn that. The way you earn it is by doing some conscious awareness. You got to do some work on yourself, and it takes a while for you to get there.
So I'm not sure if you have any more spots left for this weekend, but if I'm listening and I'm thinking about maybe wanting to come to this workshop, what can I expect, or what can I tell myself that I'm going to expect in order to come and have a positive experience?
The thing you want to tell yourself is not to expect anything. Just show up. That's the trick here. Because your ego wants to try to figure out what's going to happen. Your ego is always the one that wants to know what's going to happen, 3 steps down the road. It's always anticipating, because its job is to keep you safe. It doesn't want you to put you in harm's way. So it needs to try to be 10 steps ahead and figure things out. And what we're doing in the training room is peeling away the ego. We're putting the ego to rest. We're telling the ego, you don't get to be in operation when in any part of my relationships. Your job is to only keep me safe when I'm walking down the street and there's hazardous stuff going around. Then you can come out and guide me to get to my destination safely. When I walk into the home, as I'm now interacting with my family, ego, you get to shut down. And now I get to let spirit come out and guide me to be that loving, vulnerable, compassionate, intimate man that my son and daughter need from me, and obviously that my wife needs from me. We got to learn how to shut ego down. So you have to learn to turn your ego off in this kind of training environment. So to answer your question, is turn your ego off. Don't expect anything. Listen to your spirit. If spirit is telling you should be there, you just pick up the phone, call, register, and show up, and let me do the rest. When you get in that training room, you're going to start noticing some magical, beautiful opportunities that are going to unfold for you to jump into and learn and discover and grow.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if this works for everybody, but my thing is, if I'm thinking about something, or I'm considering something, or putting really any energy or thought into it, I should probably do it or think about doing it.
Yeah.
And another thing is too, one of the things that you taught me, and you say this in every training pretty much, but you always say, like, how do I know you're supposed to be here, because you're here. And another thing is, when I want to do something, I think of you telling me what's the number one rule of success is showing up, just being there at all. You
That's
don't
right.
really have to do anything yet, because you already took the first step, which is the hardest part.
Yeah, and I also say too, the hardest part sometimes, even in the training room when you're sitting down, and I'll say, who wants to go next, or who wants to volunteer, and then everyone's looking at each other because no one thinks I'm talking to them, and then my next words are, the hardest part is actually standing up. If you can just stand up, your feet actually know what to do. And then you'll see a couple people look around, and then one person will stand up, and then all of a sudden the left foot goes, the right foot goes, and before you know it, the hardest part is you sitting there deciding to actually go or stand up or actually move. And once you can get past that point, the spirit knows exactly what to do. And it's been a long time since you've tapped into that and trusted that part of you.
It's funny because I'm imagining somebody, thinking about it, not knowing, should I call? Should I go? I don't even know if I can go, so maybe I won't call. If you're thinking about it and you wake up Saturday morning and you haven't registered, just come. We'll register you.
SCVI Charter School in Castaic. Be there at 8:30 for registration. We start right at 9 o'clock sharp.
Yeah, so I'll be there. I'll register you myself if you want to come. You haven't called, it's okay. But mention that you heard this offer, because I want to know who's listening. All right, sounds great. We'll get back to it more after the break. Stay tuned for more of My Conscious Dad right here on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Welcome back to My Conscious Dad right here on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Today we are talking about the relationship course that we have going on this weekend. And if you missed any of it, you could always find our podcast online, but we're also going to be talking about a post-relationship course workshop next week and talk about what we actually experienced. So
I'd love to come in and talk about it on Monday when we're lit up.
We're like going to be on top of a mountain, and then by the time we get here on Friday, we're going to be like, it was cool. But I guess I want to know what it's going to be like, if I'm sitting here wondering. I know I already asked what it's going to be like, what you should expect, and you kind of said don't expect anything, but if I go, I kind of want to know what I'm going to be feeling. So
well, I'll paint a picture for you what it looks like. So you come in to register 8:30 in the morning. Training starts at 9. I'll do a little welcome, tell you a little about me, what the training looks like. I'll paint a picture for you, and the picture that I paint is it's going to be some lecture. So I'll be going over certain distinctions about relationships and how you can benefit from them. So I'll do probably about maybe half hour of lecture, and then I do some experiential exercises. I tee up an exercise that you're going to be participating in, and then I'm going to invite you to participate in it with the intention to look at what value you can create for yourself, and then when we're done, I'm going to ask you to share. And so there's going to be some participating, and then there's going to be some sharing. Well, that's the magic of these transformational trainings, is the participating, the having the experiences, and then sharing out loud. As you're experiencing and then sharing out loud, what you start to realize is that there's some things that you didn't know. And then all of a sudden you start to have these little powerful mini breakthroughs, and you out of your own mouth start to get clarity about what's getting in your way, what are some of the things that aren't working, how sometimes you're sabotaging your own relationships, some of the fears and the dysfunctions and all the insecurities that you have never noticed before. That's where we really do the uncovering and the peeling back and the discovery. And it goes like that through a roller coaster of a 2-day process. And there's something magical that happens in that room when you got 30 or 35 people that are committed to doing that work. We start to peel away more of the ego, and more of the authentic self starts to reveal itself. More of our spirit comes out, and we start to have these powerful breakthroughs that are happening right in front of us. And we walk out of there on Sunday with just a whole nother level of clarity about what's missing from me in my relationships, and how I'm sabotaging them, and I'm not even giving myself a chance to really persevere and win big in them.
My favorite part, and this is probably going to be like the best thing that happens, but my favorite part is having other people share their stories and share what it is that they're kind of struggling with either themselves or within their relationships, but kind of hearing them say their story and they share their self-limiting beliefs and all the things that they think is wrong in their relationship or whatever, and I'm sitting there like, well, that's not true, you're great, you're so awesome, you're so, and I'm like on their team, and as they're talking themselves down, I'm like, no, what are you talking about? And I can also take that into like relation to my life, and I could say the same thing about myself. I could say, I do that too. Why am I doing that? And like, it's very cool to have other people talking about the same thing that I'm going through. And sometimes I don't even have to say it. They already said it for me, and I could just agree and identify and say, hey, you know what? I'm in the same boat. Don't feel bad.
Yeah. And the biggest thing I think that misconception that human beings have is that I'm the only one going through this. And when you have other people sharing candidly and openly and honestly, they're sharing your story, and you're sitting there going, oh my God, that's what, as you're sitting there saying out loud the breakthrough that you need to have, and you're recognizing it, I'm hearing you say it, but I'm living that breakthrough with you, right alongside you, because I need to hear myself say that for myself too. So there's so many different facets to the powerful breakthroughs that come through this training. I can't sit here and explain them all. It has to be experienced. You have to give yourself permission to be in that context and get in there and participate.
Okay, so before we leave, I just want to go ahead and give everybody the opportunity to get the information again, either your phone number, how to register, an email. And again, like I said, if you find that you can't get yourself to make that call tomorrow morning, get up early and come down and register at 8:30 SCVI Charter School. Next week you're probably going to be listening to us talk about it, and you're going to be like, wow, I wish I was there. So
yeah, if you want to be there, you can shoot me an email at alex@alexurbina.com, or Team Urbina at alexurbina.com. You can also call me at 661-505-5021. And I'm going to throw out a ridiculous offer right now, $99 for the weekend. It's normally $295, but if you call me today or email me today in the next 12 hours, we'll get you in for $99. It's ridiculous.
Sounds good. Hope to see you all tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us today on My Conscious Dad with me, Jasmine Urbina, and my dad, Alex Urbina. We're here every Friday from 1 to 2 p.m. right here on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.